Meet my family. These are my daughters, Sahar and Sanye, and they're off to school. They're the apple of my eye. This is me, Salim Amin, the only child of world-famous photojournalist Mohamed Amin. This is my wife, Frizana. We've been married for 12 years. My kids never met my dad. He was killed 12 days before Sahar was born. These are some of my favorite moments before getting down to work. I'll be organizing the media business I inherited from my dad, while Frizana goes off with the kids on the school run. Our driver William then drops her off at South African Airways in downtown Nairobi, where she works. And this is Dad's widow, my mum Dolly, who lives with us. So that's it. Frizana and the kids, Dolly and myself in the middle. Just an ordinary family. I nearly forgot Duncan Willett. He's not family, but he's been close with us for nearly 30 years.
Yeah, plays a lawyer. Excellent.
Duncan has a studio in our compound. He's a jack of all trades, but his speciality is commercial photography.
Big smile, beautiful.
Strangely enough, this was exactly how Mum and Dad met. He the photographer, she the model.
Smile with your eyes, not with your lips. Right, look slightly left, that's right.
Mum used to be the toast of Dar es Salaam. She was a gifted amateur clothes designer and a stunning model. Dad fell for her in a big way. This was the first photograph of her he took. A French couturier tried to persuade Mum to join him as a model in Paris, but she said no. Dad and she had exchanged vows in his darkroom, and though he was 5 years her junior, they had agreed that they would get married.
I thought he was clever, he was nice, he was very ambitious, so he will become something. That's how we started becoming friends. Then I gave him the shop where my shop was, and then we fell in love with each other.
But there was a problem. She was an Ismaili, he a Sunni. They would have to get married in secret.
My family was not in favor. His family was not in favor at all.
Well, it wasn't the wedding of the year, that's for sure. It was a very simple wedding. They called in an African imam who read the marriage ceremony, read the nikah, signed the certificate, and he sent his domestic worker out for some sweetmeats. And there was a couple of his photographer friends that were there, and then he buggered off on a job a couple of hours later. There was just time for his photographer chums to take this single wedding photo.
I got married in 1968. And
About 2 years, and then they found out.
He was born in 1970. During that time, his family came to know that he is already married with me. So, I mean, his family, I don't know, I don't think still they have accepted me. How many years now? It's how many years? How old are you?
34.
34 and born 36 years.
Mum might have coped better with decades of uneasy truce between the families if Dad had been around more.
He did not care about anybody but his job. His job comes first. Whatever happens, whatever you do, his work was first. I was very, very famous girl in Dar es Salaam. And why did I fall in love with a man who was completely different from me? I am born as an Ismaili. Ismailis are very broad-minded and very, social people. So there was so much difference between me and him. He was completely, he had no idea about the music, sports, nothing.
He didn't have a childhood. He sort of worked from the age of 12 and missed, I was calling the man who missed Elvis Presley. You know, he just never had a childhood.
Too much difference between us. I don't know how it happened. I mean, I always feel that it was a destiny for me to get married with him and have my Salim, which he's my only child, and I love him very, very much. He's everything to me. He was a good father, but I mean, I'm the only one who has looked after him and brought him up. He was too much busy in his work.
I was spoiled by my mum. I am the only child, and I think because of the amount of time he spent away from her, I was the focus of her attention all the time. And I got my way with her. I learned at an early age that I could get away with things with her. So I think used that to a certain degree, as do most single kids.
I was not getting too much attention from Amin. So, I mean, all my attention was going to him, you see. And I used to love him, and I think I used to spoil him. Everything, whatever he wanted, I used to give it to him.
Though I might not see Dad for 9 months in a year, there was always one story on which we worked together. Well, I loved covering the East African Safari Rally. That was the best time I spent with him in my early days. I started covering the rally when I was about 9 or 10 years old, and I started taking pictures. That was where my love for photography developed, was shooting the rally. And we had a wonderful time on the road. He was completely different and completely at ease when we were out there. We would wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning. In fact, he said to me, it's the only time in your life you've ever woken up before me. And that was to wake him up to say, let's go, it's time to get on the road. And I loved it, and we had a great time together. And I learned a lot of lessons about photography from him. Then he would be shooting film and I would do the stills along with other photographers. And I learned some great lessons. I think things started to go wrong between Dad and me when I threw a party at home. They were away and things got really badly out of hand.
Apparently, every Tom, Dick and Harry and his car and his girlfriend and his bottle of booze arrived at this party. There was violence, there was breaking glass, there was fighting. Very much so to the night watchman call the police. The police then called somebody else, and everybody arrived. People were arrested, carted off to jail. And then when your parents came back, he was in the state of shock that I've never ever seen them in. Both, your mum and pa, but your father, for the first time in his life, closed his office door, and he wept.
Really?
And he really had no idea what he was going to do with you. Well, to everybody else, it was so your sons had a party. Didn't you?
Thrifty, workaholic Dad could not understand a son who seemed not to take life seriously enough. I don't think I was a playboy or anything like that. I wasn't very successful with the opposite sex at all, in fact. You know, not from lack of trying, but, you know, I wasn't, you know, I was overweight, I was very shy, I wore thick glasses, I had bad teeth, I was not, you know, your spitting image of a playboy.
He was doing a lot of wrong things, you see.
What was he doing wrong?
Oh, partying, friends, everything you say, he was doing it.
His dad thought he was a playboy.
Yeah, he had so many girlfriends.
And he disapproved of that.
Even his father had so many girlfriends, so I don't blame him.
It was an open secret that Dad was having an affair with Debbie Gager, who had helped save his life after the explosion in Ethiopia. Dad was not the first man to fall for a pretty face, and Debbie later went with him to Warren, Ohio, when he was fitted with the false arm.
Okay. Did you regret marrying Mohammed?
I don't know. before 1984, he took me and Salim all around the world. We have been
everywhere, basically,
everywhere,
before that.
everywhere, almost.
But then
everywhere.
that stopped after 84,
Then
didn't
it stopped. You know, so you can imagine how hurtful it was.
It was particularly hurtful when Dad went to London to receive his MBE from Queen Elizabeth. It was not Mum who accompanied him to the palace, but Debbie.